Hello and welcome, everyone. I am hoping everybody is well and you're taking care of yourself and you're keeping yourself warm. So, the topic of this video here is the transformative power of pain. So, we all have experienced pain, difficulties, and even suffering in life. And I just want to say before we go any further that most of the time, not always, but most of the time, if we suffer, we are the ones that, in a sense, make this so. We create the suffering because it's something that we cannot let go. When we feel pain, we cannot let go. And because we can't let go, we experience suffering. Now, this is not always the case. Sometimes the pain is so intense that automatically we do suffer. So let's say you have a major accident and that you can't breathe and you can't move, and this is quite understandable that we suffer. But in the long term, if you're experiencing suffering from pain that happened 5 years ago, we are probably the ones that are responsible for making this the reality. And I'm not trying to point fingers here. I'm not trying to attack. I'm saying this from experience that myself. I have used sometimes the pain as a justification to be negative. So, in the book and the movie, Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman, there is a very good quote that I always keep in mind. And it goes like this: a warrior does not seek pain, but if pain comes, he uses it. So this is basically what this video is all about. So when we experience pain, we can use this pain to motivate us to change our current situation. And if we do so, it can have very powerful effects on our lives. So let's say that we've been poor and we struggled all our life, and the pain of this motivates us to change our situation. So in this case, we would say, I've had enough of my job. I'm going to go to school, let's say, for example, to pursue my dreams. And if somebody does so, they transform the pain into following a dream. You have so much pain that you decide you've had enough, and then you decide to follow your dreams. This is very connected to the quote by Peaceful Warrior. In the same situation, let's say that you're in a situation where you're working and then you don't feel that this is really what is not meant for you. It's not something that you're happy at. And what you do is you decide to start your business that you've always wanted to do because of how fed up that you are. Again, you're using the pain to motivate you, to propel you forward towards something that you have always wanted. So the pain is basically providing the fuel for us to go for our dreams. And maybe, I'm saying this maybe, this is the purpose of pain. The purpose of pain could be that it's showing us that we're not in alignment with where we should be. And this pain, after a certain amount of time, will say, aren't you listening? This is not meant for you. And if we listen, then we say, it's not meant for you. So what I'm saying is, at the end, we can go two directions. If pain comes, we can suffer which is something that we create ourselves, or that we can use the pain to motivate us to go for our dreams, which is a whole lot more positive. It's kind of like somebody that's sick and tired of being sick and tired and finally decides to get up and do something about it. But the problem is that most of us are attached. We can't let go. And because we're attached and we can't let go, we experience pain and suffering. And this is due to the very human trait of being stubborn. Stubbornness is probably one of our most detrimental traits, although it can be used beneficial in a way where it benefits us. But often we are stubborn and we stay in something that we should leave just because of, well, you don't want to let go, you don't want to stop, you're just going with the familiar known. And this is all, again, our doing. And we can blame life, we can blame our parents, but we are doing this to ourselves. But obviously, like I've said, that because of stubbornness and we have a strong ego, we stay in that situation. And I don't know why so many of us continue holding on to something that no longer serves us, but it is quite a interesting phenomenon, and how many of us are unhappy and we keep on doing the things that make us unhappy. But I guess sometimes it's not necessarily that we're stubborn, but we're holding on to a job, maybe because we make a lot of money and it gives us a social status, and we can say, well, look at all the stuff that I have. Or another thing that is quite possible is that some of us have low self-esteem, and because we have low self-esteem, we believe this is all we deserve. That is quite a significant problem, obviously, when it comes to something, when it comes to a spiritual problem, that we keep on looking to suffer because we believe that we should suffer because of, well, we don't deserve to be happy. But hopefully, one day, when we've suffered enough, we'll break free from the limited sense of me and the lack of self-esteem, and we'll shake that stubbornness, and we'll say that it's time to stop doing what I've been doing and going for something that's going to be much more enjoyable. It is quite sad, though, that people have to suffer greatly sometimes in order to fully realize the issue at hand, which is us creating this whole problem. And what happens often is that suffering is a loop where we're attached to suffering. We can't let go, and because of that, it causes suffering, and the suffering keeps us in the same mentality. But again, I guess we can't forget that people might not be ready, and that the pain, after feeling pain for long enough, intense enough pain, that we might finally motivate ourselves to go somewhere else or do something different. Now, I have to mention something that I see more and more, in the spiritual realm. There are some people that believe that pain and suffering are necessary for radical change. And because of this belief, they pursue pain and suffering. And they fall into all sorts of traps, and where they go looking for pain so they can transform their lives. And many of these people, they brag about how much pain and suffering they've endured, and they call themselves spiritual because of all the suffering that they've experienced. And they even put themselves on a pedestal above other people on their spiritual path. And they say, look at what I've done. I've made myself suffer through divine suffering. And all these other people, they're not committed to the path. They're just faking it. So you see people going and fasting for months, eventually getting so weak that they hardly have enough energy to go through the day. Or that people that go for sun dances where they have these hooks planted in their chests or backs. They attach these hooks to ropes that are going to trees, and they have to stay with the tension on the ropes for days. And once they go through that, then they finally are granted a title, perhaps, or most of the time they are given some hidden wisdom, hidden teachings. And this is very, very dangerous. I very much feel that this is no more than a cult, where you have to suffer and bow down to authorities that eventually decide that you've suffered enough and now you deserve to have this wisdom, this teaching. I just want to put that out because it's becoming more and more prevalent, and I am not going to back down from speaking about it. So all my Native American brothers and sisters, I love you, but I hope you can let go of this. So I'm hoping that you don't fall into that trap, and this is why I'm doing these videos, and this is why I'm presenting my opinions on these things, because there is some forces out there that want you to go on this road so you can prove yourself. So these people, they believe that in order to heal or grow, suffering is needed, right? But I want to say that I've healed and I've grown where pain and suffering were not in the picture, where it was joy and pleasure. When I finally let go of something that wasn't meant for me, and then I finally was able to say I'm free. And this is at the end what we all should strive for, to find our own way without being influenced by traditions, by teachings, by faiths, by religion. That you don't need the permission from anyone. You don't need a status symbol. You don't need a title in order to be spiritual. That the most deep knowledge that you can attain will be through a realization that you experienced personally. It wasn't given to you by a teacher. You experience it maybe through a meditation, through maybe an aha moment. And I'm hoping that people are able to get in touch with themselves so that these realizations can happen that can be very transformative. So how do we use pain? Do we use pain to motivate us to pursue our dreams? Do we use pain to continuously suffer and to seek out more suffering? At the end, it's all up to us. If we don't address the self-esteem issues, we're very likely to go into the suffering side. And this is what I see. People that are suffering, that are seeking more suffering. But there's another way. You can say, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. I don't need to suffer through life in order to prove myself worthy. That you are worthy just because of who you are inside. Isn't this my message all throughout my videos? I would like to hope so. This is surely one of my goals. My purpose is of doing these videos is to say that you have everything that you need inside. That you don't need me, you don't need religion, that you don't need anyone, you have everything, you're complete inside. You always have been, always will be. So, how are we going to use pain? Are we going to use it to transform our lives on a positive side? Or go down another route, go down the road of suffering continuously? It's up to us. So I thank you all for listening. I wish you all the best. I hope you finally put an end to needless suffering. That you connect inside. That you are able to find a peace that is always present in the moment within you. So, I love you. You're amazing. And until next time.